Okay, hello everyone. So this is another lesson that I wanted to share with you guys. This lesson is for elementary grade 6, and it's the Hi Friends 2 textbook, lesson 2, When is Your Birthday? So how I would start this lesson is like every other lesson, where I'd get the kids to stand up, I would greet them, so I'd say good morning, and then I would ask how are you, and then they would reply with how they are. And then while they were still standing, I would say, okay, now here's a mini game. Ask 3 people, how are you? And when you are finished, you can sit down. So then the students have to go around and they ask 3 people, how are you? How are you? How are you? And then they can go sit down. And then as they were doing that, I would write this on the board. When is your birthday? And, oh, sorry, it got crossed out a little bit. That's when is your birthday. There. So anyways, after I wrote this down, they were all sitting, I would ask them, do you know what this says? Do you know what this is? And if they didn't, I would read it out loud. I'd say, when is your birthday? And they'd be like, oh yeah, I understand. So then I'd ask them to translate it to Japanese, and then they would do that, and then I would say it in English, but have them repeat me maybe 3 times. We would do this just to make sure that they kind of understand how to say it. So after that was finished, then I would pull out my flashcards. Now the flashcards are basically like the size of a regular piece of paper, except it has the picture of what the word is and then the word, basically. It's just like memorization picture flashcards. So for this one, they kind of look like this. This is a tiny version of it, where it had a Japanese holiday, and then the month, and then the number of the month. And what I would do is I would have all of them from January to December, and then I'd go through them, and I'd say it first on my own, and then the second time I would get the kids to repeat me. So I'd say, please repeat me, January, and then the kids would say January, and then I'd say January, and they'd say January. So you repeat it twice, and then I'd stick it on the board. So then I would do that all the way to December. Once all of the months were on the board, then I would start writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I would say, what's this? And the kids would say 1, what's this? 2, 3, 4, and then eventually they'd be reading it out loud as I wrote it down. So basically what this is the days of the month, and then I would write it to 31, and then I would demonstrate to the teacher. So I'd pull the teacher in and I'd say, okay, when is your birthday? And then the teacher would say, April 6th. So I would point to the month and then the number, and then I'd say, oh, cool. And then the teacher would ask me, when is your birthday? And I would say May 30th. So then I would point to the month, and then I'd point to the number. And then we would ask the kids if they understood basically how this grammar is set up. So this is the question, and then the answer is the month and the day. And for this lesson in particular, the kids just answered the number like January 5 instead of saying January 5th. And for now, I think it's okay, because this class, the classes I taught this to in particular, their English levels were a little bit lower, so I wouldn't want to discourage them right away by just like hammering them down to say, no, it's 5th. So that's just like a little side note. Anyways, after the teacher and I had demonstrated this, then I would ask the students, so does anyone want to volunteer? Do we have a volunteer to say when their birthday is? So then a student would stand up, and I would ask, when is your birthday? And they would say January 7th or whatever. And so I would say, oh, January 7th? And then they would say yes. And I'd be like, oh, perfect, congratulations, that's great. And then there'd be other volunteers. And by the time all the volunteers were done, then I would tell everybody, I'd be like, okay, super good job. So now, let's play Karuta. So I would get the students to put their desks together like this, so 4 members, 1 group, and in the middle of their desks, I would give them their Karuta cards, and what they would have to do is spread their cards throughout the desks, so it was easy for each member to grab whatever card. And how we played this game is that everybody in the class would ask, when is your birthday? And then, so I'd say, okay, 3, 2, 1, when is your birthday? So the kids would say that, and then I would say January 1st, or February 2nd, or March 3rd, or April 4th. So it would be these ones, and whatever we say, the first kid to grab it gets to keep that card. And that's basically like the thing with this game with Karuta is if you have the most cards in the end, then you win. You're the champion. So at the end, when we went through all 12 months, I asked all the members to count their cards, and then whoever was the group champion to raise their hand, and we would congratulate them. And then after, I would ask them to put their Karuta cards back together again with the paper clip, and then hand them to me. And then I would get the kids to move their desks back to the original position that they were in. Because we were going to play some hot potato. So now it's a really good idea, like while they're still in their groups, to get them to practice saying their birthday to each other. So before I told them to move their desks, I'd got them to practice their birthday. So January 8th or May 5th or whatever, like got them to practice saying it to each other. And then after about a minute or two, I'd get them to move their desks back to the original position. And then I would chop the class in half, and I would literally say chop with the hand gesture, and the kids know that means that this is group A and this is group B. Each group got a soccer ball. And what I would do while they were practicing their things is I would put my music CD into the CD player. And the song of choice that I have is the Bruno Mars Uptown Funk. It's like super, super good, super high energy, and the kids really love it. So I would have that in the CD player ready to go. And then I would explain to the kids how we play hot potato. So basically, the students have to pass the soccer ball as if it were hot. It's a hot, hot soccer ball. Oh my gosh, you gotta pass it, pass. So I would explain to them, okay, so you pass, and then when the music stops, because the music is playing, when the music stops, the person with the soccer ball has to stand up. And then as a class, we would ask, I would say, okay, 3, 2, 1, when is your birthday? And then the person with the soccer ball would say their birthday, the month and the day. And then we would all say, oh, good job, we'd clap, and then we'd say, okay, let's keep going. And then we play the music again, and then they pass the ball, and then when the music stops, those people stand up. So in the end, because there's two groups, two balls, there'd be two students standing, and then they would say their birthdays kind of thing. And it turned out that activity was like pretty good. They did a really, really good job at that, especially because they were able to practice beforehand. And after the hot potato game, I would, like at the beginning of the class, I would hand these out to all of my students, and then at the end of the class, I would ask them, okay, so this grammar, when is your birthday, the months and the days, do you understand? Wakarimasu ka? Do you understand? And then the kids can show whether or not they understand. And so I've got yes, so, and no. And for the most part, it was yes and so, which is really great to see. No kind of gets like, it sends that message that there's something that I did in the lesson that was out of place, or it didn't work out properly, not enough practice or whatever. That's if most of the class is like a no, but for the most part, they were yeses and so-sos, which got me jumping for joy because I was like, oh man, it worked, I did it, yay! So this is a nice way to measure whether or not your teaching style is effective or whatever, right? So anyways, that is my lesson for when is your birthday. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!